Because who doesn't want a romance where your first impression of the guy makes you want to punch out his teeth? Hello everyone, my name is Shelby. Welcome back to my channel, Grace with Books. Today I'm giving you guys my top 5 enemies to lovers romances. Enemies to lovers is probably one of my favorite tropes of all time. I just think there's something so great in watching a relationship develop from people who hate each other to people who would do anything to protect each other. Sometimes this is done really well and sometimes it's not. I'm here to give you guys a list of 5 books that I think this was done well in. You may not agree with all my picks and that's okay. These are books that I really enjoyed that have that enemies to lovers romance theme. On this list today, I have 3 enemies to lovers romances that are new adult, a little more mature than for your regular middle school, high schooler. I have 1 paranormal young adult book and I have 1 fantasy paranormal new adult book. So a whole range, a whole mixture on this list. So if the young adult paranormal fantasy doesn't fit you, then maybe you'll like one of my more new adult contemporary romances instead. So we're just gonna get right on started with this list. The first book I'm gonna talk to you guys about today is Bully by Penelope Douglas. This is about a high school bully and his victim. The story follows Tate. She has lived next door to Jared her whole life and he has spent his whole life tormenting her. They used to be really good friends when they were younger, but then something changed and Jared has spent his entire life trying to make Tate miserable. Tate goes away for a year to spend in another country, and when she comes back, she's determined to not let Jared push her around anymore. She is ready to fight back, and you will see what happens when she does. This book has gotten a lot of mixed reviews. I was really surprised when I looked at the reviews because I ended up really liking it. It is sort of an alpha man book where the guy is pushy and honestly a bully at times, you know, the name of the book. But when you get to the book, you sort of see what caused that and you get to see more in depth about his character. So it's not just like he's an alpha male dumbass for no reason. There is substance, and that's what made this book really enjoyable to me. So yes, that is Bully by Penelope Douglas. My next book is another contemporary new adult book, and it is called Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire, also not for younger audiences. And also a book that got a lot of mixed reviews, but once again, I ended up really enjoying. This book takes place in college and follows Abby. She is a quote-unquote stereotypical good girl who doesn't drink or party that often, and she basically does this to get distance from her darker past. One night at a fight club, she comes across Travis Maddox. He is exactly what Abby wants to avoid, but it wouldn't be a good enemies to lovers romance if she got her way. This isn't a mutual enemies to lovers book. It is more that Abby wants nothing to do with him and he wants her. So it's more of a one-sided enemies to romance, but it's so good. I think that Travis, yes, is alpha. He is extremely protective and a little pushy at times, but I do think that Jamie McGuire wrote it that it came from a really good place, and I loved watching their relationships evolve to hating each other, to not hating each other as much, to, you know, what happens at the end of the enemies to lovers scenario. So I just thought this was just a well done book. A lot of people have different opinions from me. If you'd like to hear those opinions, I encourage you to go on Goodreads and get other people's more negative opinions. But I personally really enjoyed this book. The next book I'm here to recommend to you guys is another Penelope Douglas book. I love her, and it is called Punk 57. And yes, this is another new adult contemporary book. Not for young audiences. I will tell you when they are for young audiences. I don't think any of these are though. Punk 57 is about Misha and Ryan. They are pen pals. They've been pen pals since they were little, and they tell each other everything and they sort of pour their hearts out in these letters that they write each other. And then they meet in real life and it doesn't go well. They hate each other, and it is so much fun actually to see them sort of not exactly knowing who the other is and just utterly loathing each other, but In fact, they know everything about each other. It adds this sort of layer to their relationship that you don't get with a lot of enemies to lovers books. They have a history. It is just such a unique turn on the enemies to lovers romance, and I think Penelope Douglas writes that so well. So I recommend Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. The fourth book I am here to recommend to you guys is Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. Paranormal fantasy new adult, not for young audiences. It is so good. Pestilence is about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I really like the opening line of the synopsis, so I'm just gonna quickly read it for you. They came to Earth, pestilence, war, famine, death, 4 horsemen riding their screaming steeds, racing to the corners of the world, 4 horsemen with the power to destroy all of humanity. They came to Earth and they came to end us all. That is just such a powerful opening line, and what happens is basically that Pestilence comes to Earth and he spreads disease everywhere. People are getting sick and they are dying. When Pestilence comes to Sarah's town to destroy it, she decides to fight back and tries to kill Pestilence, but you can't really kill a horseman of the apocalypse, so he takes her prisoner. He is pissed. He drags her along as he kills her people all over the world. And yes, it is enemies. He wants to make her suffer for trying to kill him. And as the story progresses, she starts to feel confused by her feelings for him and confused by his own actions. And maybe the horseman has a little more humanity than Sarah originally thought he did. Wonderfully written book, and I believe there will be a book for each of the horsemen, so Pestilence, War, Famine, Death. It is just such a good series. I've read Pestilence, I've read War. They're both enemies to lovers romances, so I definitely recommend both of them. It is just such a fun book because it is paranormal, it is fantastical, but it also has that steamy romance that I sort of crave every day. So I definitely recommend this super unique take on an enemies to lovers romance. The last book I'm going to recommend to you guys for enemies to lovers is Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick, our more tame book on this list. It is a paranormal young adult book, and it was probably one of my favorite books of my middle school, high school years, so I decided to put this on this list because of nostalgia and I just loved this book. So Nora has sort of never been interested in guys before until Patch comes to her school and weird things start happening all around her. She is annoyed by Patch. She doesn't think she can trust him, but he seems to be always there and knows more about her than she knows about herself. He sort of lets off this vibe that he's dangerous, but she should trust him, and that's a scary feeling. And it is so good how Becca Fitzpatrick sort of frames the series, and it has fallen angels, it has demons, it has secret plots and huge plot twists. So if you're looking for more of a, not light because it gets pretty dark, but more of a young adult fun read, I definitely recommend Hush Hush as an enemies to lovers romance. And those are the 5 enemies to lovers books I'm recommending for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this list. Please leave your picks for enemies to lovers books below. I always love reading these kinds of books. As I said before, they're my favorite genre, so please feel free to add your favorite titles down below and I will check them out. Alrighty then, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell so you get updates for when I post. I post every Monday and Thursday, and I will see you guys next time. I'm getting so much better at that outro. Bye, see you next time.